are you starting to change a little bit how you feel? Because a lot of the other losses, we would always circle back to, nobody's beaten them in a 7-game series. Where now, I would probably still take them, but I don't think it's as easy as, I shouldn't say easy, it's never going to be easy, but I don't think it's as, I'm not as confident in them because there's just too many times, and yes, sometimes they have a full lineup, sometimes they don't, whatever. There's just too many times you're like, oh, that's not working. And they lost that game? Like, they lost that game? So, like, the idea of them now losing a series, I think it has to be on your radar.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean, no matter who the opponent is, like, this team doesn't look right.
Keefe, I heard Arcan say this last night. I thought it was a good point. It's Jones and Keefe here on WEEI. It's Friday. We're going to get to championship weekend in the NFL. We're going to get to the Patriots. I thought Tommy Curran had an interesting list yesterday of free agent targets for the Patriots. So we'll get into that with all your phone calls, 617-779-7937. That's your phone and text number. You can also follow on Twitter and Instagram at Jones and Keefe. You can watch at twitch.tv/Boston WEEI. Watch there, chat there. Always a healthy conversation.
Sure
a lot of Celtics defenders in there right now, if I'm reading it properly.
All right.
And on YouTube, just subscribe to WEEI. We'll get to our Friday 4-pack for championship weekend. We got Keefe's keys to championship weekend. We'll give you our Bozo parlay as well later on this hour. But I heard Arcan say this last night. Something needs to change for the Celtics to be having, the best season in the league. Like, Oklahoma City and the Cavs are a full tier above the Celtics based on this year, not based on last year, based on the last 5 years.
Season to season.
Based on this year, they're a full tier below the best team in the West, the best team in the East. And by the way, they've lost to those teams head-to-head. Each. They've lost a game. They split with the Cavs, but they've lost a game to both those teams, so they've already lost to them. They've been outplayed by them. They're 10-10 over their last 20. They constantly take one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I think in some ways you could see last night coming, which is dangerous. I think that's in some ways the most dangerous loss for this team. Second night, back-to-back, 2 nights in L.A. I heard Eddie House say this on the broadcast or the postgame last night. They're staying in L.A., or they stayed last night in L.A. They were staying another night. So you're in L.A.
That's right.
You get in late before the Clippers game. You beat the Clippers. You're shorthanded. They're shorthanded. Whatever.
Yeah.
You spend the night out in L.A.
Uh-huh.
And look, I'll be honest. I don't know the full scene of the nightlife in L.A. right now, given the wildfires. Like, I don't know.
You think they're just talking about the Oscar noms?
I have no idea.
No.
But you spend the first night out in L.A., you play the Lakers. Eddie House legit said this last night on NBC Sports Boston. He goes, I don't know if maybe staying in L.A., their mind was in another place.
Awesome.
So, great. So, you're there for 2 straight games.
Yeah, super.
You have your full roster last night. Drew Holiday's back. Porzingis is back. Horford is back. Yeah. You are on the second night of a back-to-back, but you got reinforcements, and you do that. Your worst loss of the year by margin, 117-96, and I think you could see it coming to a degree. That's a bad sign where you can start predicting wins and losses, when they're going to show up, when they're not going to show up. I want your thoughts on that, and then I have a thought on Tatum specifically I want to get to.
Well, I hate the idea of the scheduled loss or we happen to be in L.A., so there's going to be a loss. You would think there would be some motivation just going up against LeBron and Anthony Davis. But like these guys.
This is what teams with problems do. It's we were on the second night of back-to-back, scheduled loss. We were in L.A. for a couple of nights. We had other things on our mind. Like,
but they've also gone about this a bunch of different ways. This team,
that's what bad teams do.
Yeah, no, I know.
They're not a bad team.
No, they're not.
They're a team in a bad way.
Yes, yeah, they're scuffling. I mean, they're basically a 500 team or just north of 500 for a 20-game stretch, which is a quarter of the season. So that's not nothing. And this team a year ago, I know we're talking about just this season, but a year ago they lost to the Lakers in a game that LeBron and Davis didn't play, and you'd kind of excuse it away like, all right, well, maybe they kind of just played down to the competition. No, you're in L.A. Both of those guys are playing. LeBron, as much as it pains me to say it, still playing really, really well, had a good game, and you lose to them. And you don't just lose to them. I mean, you get absolutely blown out. And, it's frustrating. It's hard to excuse away loss after loss after loss and performance after performance after performance. And sure, they're, whatever it is, 31-14, which is still good for the 3rd best record in the NBA, but I think we all expected them to be a lot better than they are right now.
Terp had good numbers up at EEI.com. You can check out his work. He joins us every Celtics Wednesday at Justin M. Turpin. Over the last 7 weeks, 12-10. Last 20 games, 10-10. January 7-5. Last 10, 5-5.
Like, that is not
their longest win streak in there. 3 games. They've won back-to-back games just 3 times in that stretch.
It's bizarre.
So he says you can chalk it up as a malaise or passing a rough patch, but they started 19-4, and this last 22-game stretch of 500 basketball continued last night with their worst loss of the year. So good numbers there from Terp to help illustrate what's wrong with them. You mentioned LeBron. I love Porzingis' defense last night.